Welcome back to Disco Elysium, guys. So last time we kind of dealt with the kind of union scab situation where the scabs were trying, they're blocked off from taking all the extra work that's available from the workers that are on strike. There's a big muscly guy who we almost got in a fight with. We couldn't really resolve anything from that situation. We just know that there's something a bit suspicious from the scab leader, like he doesn't really fit in. Maybe he's been sent there by someone else. Now, I am going to move over towards the apartments over that way. I just remembered that we could go into the kitchen, and because that's right near the murder scene, I thought it might be a good idea. It's weird because we're like, what, 5-ish hours into the game, and we don't even know the name of the guy who's died. Hello there. Yeah, because we're learning things at such a slow pace. It's. I guess I've maybe not been in a game where, because you always have that early game struggle, right? Like with Prey that I've just finished, that early game struggle was to do with the difficulty and learning the systems. Whereas in such a heavy narrative focused game like that, the early game struggle is obviously to do with our stats and everything being a bit weak, but just learning everything. You know, learning the kind of circumstances of everyone. We'll talk to these guys on the way out. I just want to check the kitchen out first. The dishes are drying. They smell of chemicals and pine trees. Hello there, Mr. Cook. An aroma of spices, alcohol, and tomato hangs in the air.
A thin man is smoking below an exhaust hood, occasionally sipping from his mug. This must be the Whirling's cook.
Certainly
As
is.
you step in, he nods toward the table and says something in a completely foreign language. The only words you can make out are Garanci and Kubek.
Turkish, maybe?
It must be his name. Garanci. Garanci Kubek. Sounds representative.
Okay. Mr. Kubek, I'm here on official police business.
The man puts his cup down and replies something, his left hand drawing arcs in the air.
You've got some impressive pots there.
He smiles and bangs his ladle against each of his pots in turn.
I don't think I need anything else. Stay masculine. Okay.
You see a heavy steel door with a prominent dimple lock. It's painted blue. You immediately feel drawn to the color. Blue is for mystery.
Okay. I get really defensive with Inland Empire because it's trying to stop us from revealing the truth. So the fact that it's encouraging me to do this is, I don't know how it makes me feel. I really don't know how it makes me feel. Touch the door. Tries to push on the door. I wonder where this door leads. I'll be back door, mark my words. I wonder where it leads.
You do? It's a door in the back of the kitchen. Why do you care where it leads?
It's next to the murder scene, for God's sake.
The winch. Outside. In the backyard. Remember? No? Your fingers do.
Okay, there was a winch outside on the roof. Like that of a small elevator. I'm drawn to its cobalt blue. It's part of the whirling in rags. There's something about this place that makes me want to know. Out of duty, we may find something pertinent to the investigation. You're right, it's not important. Let's go. Yeah, the winch.
Well, if there was a winch, I suppose we could look into it as a side investigation.
The door and the main investigation will merge into a stereo investigation.
If you say so, Gart is the person to ask about this. The cafeteria manager.
Oh. Let's touch the
The
door.
cobalt blue surface feels rough to touch. The stainless steel door is flush with its frame on every side. Old cobalt paint, rough on the fingers, 40, 50 years since this was painted, maybe.
Let's push the
The
door.
door does not budge.
Oh, I've got to talk to Gart again. I'm not happy about this. Thank you. I didn't steal anything just then, Gart.
Can I help you?
I've seen something
Another
else.
thing. Great. I love those.
There's a mysterious blue steel door in the back of the kitchen.
Oh, yes, that door, sure. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's just a door.
Where does it lead? You know what's behind it?
No, I don't have a key. I don't know how to get there. And I don't care either. It's not like I've been wondering about it for 10 years. It's just a frit warehouse, probably. Or some
Okay.
boring storage space with a bunch of old junk and dust. Junk and dust.
He runs his finger across the counter to check for dirt. A nervous twitch.
He's attempting to maintain an air of indifference. It's absolutely not convincing.
I think you'd like to know what's back there. Let him get to pretend he's indifferent. I think you'd like to know what's back there.
Fine, okay, a little.
He shrugs.
But my job doesn't leave me time for wondering about one locked door in one of the cafeterias I manage.
Oh, you manage multiple cafeterias. Great.
So I haven't opened it. I have cleaned the whole place 100 times over, though, after the animals. And I haven't found a key, so good luck with that.
Fine. There's something else. I'm going to sing karaoke here, mate.
Absolutely out of the question.
Absolutely in the question. First we find a sad banger. Then we sing this place to shit.
Agreed. About that money.
Yes, have you got it?
How much?
A lot. A lot. For the room.
Actually-
Like what? I was rarely enjoying talking about the...
Never mind. All right. Let's talk to these fellows. These good folk. Hello there. You an evil bald guy? All about the money, you know. Sleeping dock worker. Dock worker. A man sleeping at the table. Recording check, sorry. Wearing mud-caked boots and rolled down overalls. The back of his shirt reads Wild Pines, encircled by a logo with a tree.
A colourful piece of plastic is dangling from his carabiner. Makes your
Carabiner?
fingers itch.
Carabiner. Right.
On the counter, rolled out of his open hand, you see a blister pack of headache medicine.
Oh. Headache medicine, I mean... Inspect the piece of plastic.
It's a dock worker's ID, doubling as a shift card and a job permit. A young, able-bodied man stares back at you from the photo. Santiago S. John. The man does not mind. You probably need them more than he does.
Do we take his ID? I mean, Kim's not going to approve of this. Shift card and job permit. A young, able-bodied man stares back at you from the photo. I don't know, man. I don't think we should do it. The one time we've got like a really good chance. I don't know what to do. I mean, Kim's not going to approve of that. And we don't look anything like him, do we? I don't know. I'm down for stealing stuff. Okay, I'm down for trying to use our savoir-faire, you know, but not when Kim's with us. Because I feel like that's only going to get us in trouble, right? Right, can we use the crane? Is there something else we can observe about this?
You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic.
We need another white check for that. You still here, you little crackhead. Right, this is the crane. This is the thing here, right? Can we rotate? We can't rotate the camera, can we? That's asking way too much. Did it say when we need a time we need to come back? There are strange doors in the whirling. No one knows where they lead. Find a way in and see what's hidden in there. In the hostile cafeteria's forgotten corners. Find a way into the secret passage. Maybe we need to get up there. Well, that's enough of this anyway. I won't forget about that, but I feel like we should move on a little bit. Let's do some dumpster diving. We'll go and trade these in at some point. I know we've still got the ridiculous yellow gloves, but they give us a stat boost, right? Okay, let's go into the apartment building in a second. Let's just read this stuff. Oh, we can talk to this fellow as well. Docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Gilles Lane, 33A. Your room in the whirling isn't much bigger than this sloop. Hello there, sir.
A striking
miss.
woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
A striking woman.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce.
She extends her hand in greeting.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
She steps closer and holds out her hand over the railing. Joyce L. What does the L stand for? What exactly is the RCM? I remember hearing it from somewhere. What gave us away? Let's just shake her hand.
I'm glad to see you here.
Her grip is tight and cold. Okay, we've got something here. So we've got a rich person to talk to. That was something that Lena told us to do. And this has obviously got something to do with her presence here, to do with the strike.
Like steel, there is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
Yeah. She's dangerous.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
Bit eager.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
Alright, Kim.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. The lieutenant is hatching some scheme. It happens quicker than a shooting star. But did the lieutenant just wink at you?
So he's trying to trick her, maybe? Because he doesn't believe we're any good.
How interesting.
She turns to you
I wish you a swift
unfazed.
recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation. and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
Okay.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
You're on a boat. Tell me about Wild Pines. What do you do? What can you tell me about this strike? What can you tell me about this lynching? You seem rich. Can I have some money? I mean, this being part of police questioning, I don't be an interesting response. This is kind of like leering over the situation. Her wealth is leering over the workers, right? Her being here on her private, personal yacht. Is it? It's not a yacht, is it? I don't know. Yeah, it's a yacht. Okay. Should we get straight to the point? Because she said she won. No, we should get some information about her first. Tell me about Wild Pines. What do you do?
What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
All right, well, what do they do?
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing.
She points to the
See
small
those
dots on the
airships there,
horizon.
blinking? Those are the shipping side of things.
I wish they'd give me, 2-3 seconds to read these non-voice acted bits. See those airships there blinking? Those are the shipping side of things.
And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
Those are the shipping. Then to the east, toward the harbour. So they have their fingers in a lot of pies. Many pies. What's the company worth?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
Lady, I've got 5.52 real. Okay, I'm a big fish. 20 billion. Okay, that's some serious business.
A billion?
Come on, dude. I know what a billion is. Okay, wow. What exactly is a billion? Wow. That's it? I thought Wild Pines was supposed to be big time. Numbers like that mean nothing to me. The money I owe is so much less than that. Okay. Should we play into her ego a bit here? That's it? I thought Wild Pine was supposed to be big time.
And to think, there are years when the group books losses in the billions.
The wave hits the sloop. She grasps the mainstay for balance.
Wild Pines employs 72,000 people, all of whom have families that depend on their salaries. It is a tremendous responsibility.
Alright, where do you get all these billions from?
They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when Pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain.
Lomantang. Okay, that sounds kind of like around the Thai. That sounds very Thai, doesn't it? Burmese, Thai. Like that hard T in there. 250 years ago, though.
Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
What does such a huge system want with a place like this?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
8% of all cargo in the world. That's quite the endeavour. You don't keep it moving, the workers do. The company's nothing without them. Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, machine's nothing without its parts, right?
We built this district.
She says calmly.
All the best parts of it. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, with its bastions, the plaza's meteor and mosaic. Even some of the old street lamps have been put back thanks to the investments from the WP.
She points behind you where the seawall rises.
Before Martinez was swallowed by the industrial harbour, even before it was part of Revachol, long before Terminal B was erected here, the Pines built it as a resort for its Revacholian employees.
Okay, so quite a common thing, I suppose, at least in the industrial era, where towns being built around factories, right? And everyone who lived in that town worked at that place. And there's still places like that now, right? I know it's very similar like that in... Is it Wolfsburg, where the big Volkswagen, where the VW factory is?
A company getaway, for a weekend or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution. But that's another matter. I'm here to make sure the Pines can fulfill their responsibilities to the place they built.
To make sure things go off without any problems.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Yeah, she's... I suspect she wouldn't ordinarily be this helpful. I think she'd probably be a little more tart, a bit more curt. But she maybe needs our help. So what can you tell me about the strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
What's your role in this, precisely?
I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator.
Okay.
In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
An intermediary.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago.
Okay.
After that awful lynching took place.
So we're pretty much directly responsible for this not moving forward.
Wait, she just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Yep.
Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Racist behemoth? Oh, the big guy. Measurehead. Yeah. Sorry. I thought she was talking about like a ship or something for a second then. No, you mean Measurehead?
Yes. Jean-Luc Measurehead.
She leans back and rolls her eyes. So the strike is connected to the lynching. Or at least the fear around the whole situation is.
Yes, I believe there is a connection. But that's a subject for later.
Her eyes narrow. I'll decide what we talk about now.
She's resolute in this, yet you sense that she wants to tell you. You'll have to earn her trust first.
Okay. How were the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
Okay,
that's partly admirable, right? Wanting to have face-to-face negotiations.
But the strike began in December.
Oh, he looks at his notes, okay. It's just things weren't going well without a face-to-face negotiation, so maybe she's a bit of an emergency, kind of to put the fire out almost.
I wasn't the original negotiator here.
Ah.
I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
Okay, so she's the second negotiator.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Both times the union won significant concessions, overtime and a medical plan. Those aren't significant. They're significant for the workers, but they're not. Yeah. This time the demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. So I do think that what we've heard about the union asking for a stake in the company. I'm not necessarily too educated on employment law and employment and things in unions, but I don't know how I don't know how common it is for workers to hold like a shareholding. I know it's common for some workers to hold shares, but not to hold like a vast amount of shares so that they can control significant parts of the company. And given that they're only one workforce in one very small part of the world, and considering how big this company is, they're never going to get what they want, right? You know, like she said, what, 8% of the world's trade or something, or logistics, they process and handle and operate. So one harbour in one city, they're not going to get a controlling stake, not any sort of stake in the company. So what happened to the previous negotiator, Galmont?
Mr. Clare told him to... How did he put it?
She pauses to compose herself. What, go fuck himself?
Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Okay then.
Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the Union.
So that was someone he was familiar with and it still went pear-shaped.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
Yeah, more than fair, from your perspective. So, what are the demands? We've speculated, and from what we've heard, what are they asking for?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
So they're asking for a pretty unreasonable thing. I like it. I don't know what to think about that. Over-aggressive commie posturing. Seems like they have no idea about business. Forget it. I wanted to ask something else about the strike. Honestly, this sounds ridiculous, right? This sounds like the kind of thing you do because you know it's never going to get agreed to, because you want to riot or you want to kick them out of the city to start your own business or something, right? Because you know they're never going to agree to it, and you know that it is kind of unreasonable. So it kind of is communist posturing. But I'd never like using the word commie, even though I don't know. I personally, I never subscribed all the way into ideologies. I always think that's a little naive. I always think that a political system has to be a merge of context with ideological principles, and you can never use ideological principles from one side. You have to use like a mix, and then you have to integrate that into the context of, you know, the economy, just the way things are within that country. So yeah, it seems like they've got no idea about business.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker a member of the board.
Yeah, what does that even mean, though? I mean, the board's not going to have that many people on, is it?
It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about what? About anything, really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal.
Yeah, that is pretty ridiculous. I have to say. I sound like I'm agreeing with the kind of sycophantic rich business operatives here, but there is an element of, you know, extreme socialism that just isn't practical, right? You know, you have to narrow down the decision-making process to get things done. You should just pay them more. I don't know. Really is the best way to solve it.
Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
Yeah. Workers can't be kings. King is king. No, I don't like that. That's pretty funny, I have to admit. Yeah. King is dead. Long live the workers. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution.
What are you going to do, Joyce?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again.
Oh, I have a thing about noticing voice actors, and I think this sounds like Keira Metz from The Witcher 3. I could be wrong, but it really does sound like her. There's just certain words that sound exactly like Keira Metz. I always notice Witcher 3 voice actors because I've played the game so many goddamn times. Okay. Yeah, that's what she said there. Hard-nosed tactic, you know, with a touch of mockery because they know it's so ridiculous. So it's just like an extreme starting position so that they can come down to the thing that they actually want. Because if they ask for the thing they actually want, they're going to have to come down from that. So they're going like a step too far to get to the step where they want to be. Well, they could be revolutionaries.
And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
The lieutenant looks up from his notes.
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
A reply comes quick.
This checks out.
Okay. So did you hire the scabs at the gate?
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the Union refuses to?
She raises her brow.
Don't let her answer it herself.
No, I mean scabs. Let's call them strikebreakers. You put them there, right? You're right, I don't know what got into me. Some of the degenerate dock worker lingo has rubbed off, it seems. Don't let her answer it herself. I'm not sure what you mean. She's sneering at the terminology as being, you know, not clever enough, right? No, I mean scabs.
If these workers were organised by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not yet, at least.
I should. We're trying to gain her trust, aren't we? I should have said the middle answer.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Okay, tell me about Mr. Clare, the union boss.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
Okay. Yeah. Classic problem with, you know, overtly socialist or communist movements, I guess. They always end up having some sort of like fanatical leader, you know, and then it morphs into something more authoritarian and monarchistic, like a monarchy is what I mean.
If you were to prick it with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
You sound like you're about to take a rapier to him. Is he that bad? He can't be that bad. Yeah, so yeah, you sound like you're really sick of him.
Oh, heavens no. We get along just fine. Yet, now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle just dribbling down his double chin.
Okay. That breakthrough was something else. I don't think it's related to this. I could be wrong. Is he that bad?
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living.
Men?
If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
It's two of him?
Yes. Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Evrart does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over.
Okay, Edgar's got a lazy eye. In case we have trouble identifying, I'll make a note.
It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
Okay. What about the union itself outside the Brothers Clare?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
She hesitates, looking for the right expression.
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer.
She nods.
The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Evrart and his brother.
Okay, so they're entrenched now. Corrupt. They're using, like, the ideological... they're abusing the ideological precedents of the Union and that kind of thing. And it's kind of socialism gone wrong. Well, it's not necessarily socialism gone wrong, it's just the Union gone wrong, I guess.
And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see.
She
Would you
explains.
say the Débardeurs Union is...
An effective advocate for the rights of local working men. A giant leech sucking life out of Revachol. Basically a socialist mob. I prefer not to have an opinion on these things. Yeah, it's tricky. It's really tricky because, you know, I believe in many aspects of socialism, so, and workers' unions and workers' rights are vitally important, right? But they're being misrepresented now. I guess kind of like she said, they used, I don't know, but are they getting, from having a more radical leader of the group, even if it's a corrupt one, are they getting more for their workers, basically? I'm a bit reluctant to say this because we need to get on her good side to get something out of her, you know? So I don't think we should say that they're an effective advocate, even though they probably are, even if they're corrupt. Like they're treating the amount of times I've nearly called this place mayonnaise. They are treating it like their own little country and they're ruling over it, right? I don't like saying socialist mob because socialism isn't really a bad thing. When it's done in a reasonable way. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I wish there was a fifth option. I don't want to say I prefer not to have an opinion, but I wish Suggestion would have chimed in here. Yeah, they're sucking the life out a bit, yeah.
Indeed. And a hungry one. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the leech always hungers.
Very true. Okay. So kind of at the minute, the workers are probably suffering a bit because everything's just ground to a halt, a complete standstill. There's a murder that's gone on. But you know, I'm not on the big company's side because they, you know, the fact that they don't have medical and overtime and stuff means they're being exploited, right? One more thing. You said something happened in the elections.
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union.
Right.
She disappeared.
Okay.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
What was her name?
This forewoman, her name?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name.
What?
She's just forewoman.
Forewoman?
In private correspondence. Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name. And I don't have access to the union's files.
Forewoman Holly. That's so odd. Yeah, eerie.
Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Got you.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Oh no. We didn't get the extra thing, did we? Maybe a bit. Let's
Of
change the
course.
topic.
How else can I help?
Okay. You're on a boat.
Why, yes I am.
She looks at the deck under her feet. Green and white sails flutter overhead. Not a lot of people on boats, are there? You have a license for this boat? I think I have a handle on the boat thing. Yeah, not many people are rich enough to own one of these.
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
Oh, fair enough.
There is a pinch of defensiveness in her voice, but it is playful.
Wait, we're on an archipelago?
Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou.
Lekai. Still, haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Okay, she's saying we're just as privileged as she is. Fine.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle.
The lieutenant becomes defensive.
It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Well said, Kimmy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
Yeah, right. The woman pats the cabin hardtop.
She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps.
Has she got a name?
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name.
It really needs a name.
Okay. How about Cordelati 19? Why?
She taps on the side of the boat. It makes a hollow sound.
Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelati, and its hull is 19 paces long.
She might not like me naming it a female name. How about Dolores?
Why Dolores?
Just like the name for some reason.
Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion.
What kind of boat is it?
It's a pleasure craft, a 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business.
So you were saying it's got a practical use for business, and it's a pleasure craft that's meant for racing. How do you like
My
it?
sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
Her lips curl into a wry smile.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
Well, you're asking for a slap here, Kim.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Okay. Have you got a license for this boat?
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
Hey, you still need a license.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license.
Right.
Sly fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Fair enough. Alright, I think I've got enough on the boat.
Good.
She takes a sip of her thermal cup. Okay, what can you tell me about the lynching?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid.
She falls silent for a moment, contemplating something.
The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
No!
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57.
The lieutenant hands her a piece of blue plastic, and I'm just stood here with a couple of oven gloves on and a bag full of recyclable cans and bottles.
And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
Remember when my partner told you I'd recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My badge is related to it.
I see.
She looks increasingly
So
worried.
are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
It's possible. After a night of heavy drinking, I lost all memory of my life and the world. We shouldn't mention the drinking. Yes.
I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please.
I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything.
Oh dear.
She sighs with confusion,
Some
sadness
kind of
even.
encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do believe you, naive as that may sound.
It is
I simply
naive.
can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
Your trust, hopefully.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Fair enough.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
Sorry, my dog started barking. I had to go and sort that out. Okay. Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. I mean, how do we negotiate our way out?
She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her. Insinuate.
Okay, surely there's some other way to demonstrate our law enforcement credentials.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Okay. Like what?
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
Okay.
They're profiting from this trade.
Yeah.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones.
Okay, the drug trade.
Or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Yeah, it might be.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
The lieutenant closes his notebook. Excuse us for a moment, madam.
Wow, you work hard.
I do.
Oh, yes. You hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide.
Yeah, I guess I do.
Oh, yeah. Like a horse, a workhorse, for hard work.
What hard work do I do?
Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic, sand, and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride.
Fucking ride till I die, bitch.
That's just what it's like. Life and death. But you got gills on your side, baby. Got those black papers with the faces of the innocents on them. You bring in the Franco Negros and the Solas. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop and a sprinter and a money printer.
Guess I've made some gills, sure.
Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself in the mouth? But you still hustle 24/7, ride or die. Now, ask yourself, are you rich?
He obviously doesn't mean rich of money, right? But rich of experience. Yeah, quite.
Get out of here. You're a pauper. You work harder than anyone. Almost rode yourself to the grave, and you're still practically a oboe. Why is that?
It's not because of God. It's not because of the system. I don't know. You tell me.
Because of the taxes. G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, so much as sneeze.
Every time I sneeze, really?
Every time you wipe your ass. They got their direct and their indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax, alimony. One tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus there's the stuff people in other countries pay for. That makes them ask for more money from you. Here. Total tax duties add up to...
Man, taxes are a good thing. Alright, chill. Calm yourself.
98% of all your money.
98%? Are you sure? That seems a bit over the top. No fucking way. I guess I'm a free market fundamentalist now. I'm definitely not that. That's a pretty big number.
What are you not sure about? They're milking your nipples till they bleed. Can't you see? Aren't you sick and tired of having bloody nipples?
I don't believe in this, man. I believe in tax. No fucking way. I guess I'm a free market fundamentalist now. No. Bleeding nipples are kind of a pain. But how will deregulation help with that? Opt in, but only a little. This isn't helping me solve my money problem. It's only making me into a free market type. Surprised that this is coming from South Fair. Maybe... I don't think this is what it means. This isn't helping me, dude.
What are you, a racist? Don't be a racist.
A racist?
Be a cool immigrant, ultra-liberal free market advocate. Ride or die. Keep it street.
Well, if not being an ultra liberal makes me a racist, then I guess I should be an ultra liberal. I don't believe in a free market. I'm having a problem here because I don't want to have the fear of missing out with something in the game. Do you know what I mean? So like, not that I don't agree with this. I don't know why that makes me a racist. Be a cool immigrant, ultra liberal free market advocate. It's weird though because taxes in this scenario aren't necessarily the same as taxes in a more kind of socialist democracy, right? Because your taxes aren't necessarily going towards benefiting the community. All right, fine.
There you go, hustler. Fight the righteous fight. Free the people. Keep it real. Keep it street. Keep foaming at the mouth furiously on the tax issue.
I'm going to regret that.
Guillaume Le Million.
Oh, thought complete.
Bad news. Guillaume Le Million did not become a cop. In 38, he went on a tour to the Sinyao province in Safre, where he died of autoerotic asphyxiation. His body was found hanging from a decorative dragon tree in his junior suite, amid drug paraphernalia, unwholesome objects, and the Sylvia Trainer single, Wonderland, skipping in the background. And yes, you can take this as a metaphor for Revachol in the 30s, and also as a warning.
Do we have to accept? Okay, all psyche learning caps raised by 1. That's huge. Oh. -2 empathy. I don't want to do that. Okay, indirect taxation for the Gotham estate. Okay, it might not be taxation in the way I'm thinking. And we got something else, another thought. Got another thought, man. Me?
Yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to start building communism again.
No, I'm not. Again?
Yes, you're ready to start building communism again. You've built it before. They've built it before. Hasn't really worked out yet. But neither has love. Should we just stop building love, too?
Can't argue with that. Yeah, we should all stop building love. Love has worked out really well for me. I'm a love winner. Has love not worked out? What are you talking about? What the hell, dude? What is going on? I'm a love winner, dude.
Good. We need tender men like you building gargantuan communism. Word on the street is it's going to be 10,000 times larger than any communism previously attempted by human beings. Is that right?
How come there's word on the street?
You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impale all people who have more than 25 real in their pockets, literally murder all human beings regardless of their political beliefs. That kind of stuff.
I've said some mildly left-wing things, but none of those. That's exactly what I think.
Oh yes, the mask of ambivalence. Don't deny it. You're about to rip it off and reveal the monstrous seven-eyed lamb of global communism that would devour and masticate mankind. Everyone can see that. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Or do we get right down to it?
What the hell, dude? This is the same thing. This is going to result in me getting a thought. But I don't agree with it, but I don't want to miss out. Tell me a bit about communism. I know about communism myself, but let's just hear it.
Failure. It's about failure.
It's about failure?
Yes. Abject failure. Total, irreversible defeat on all fronts. Absolutely vanquished. Beaten. Curb stomped and pissed on. Until you came along. You will reverse the fortune of the workers of the world. You alone. Against every living thing. Against every human alive. 800 trillion real in the hands of an impossibly well-organized ruling class. Towering city blocks of bankmen who have the ears of prime ministers. Million-headed armies of nations and the love of your own mother. You against the atom, the charm and the spin. Where the whole world failed. Matter failed to bend to human will. Human will fail to get out of bed and tie its laces. You alone, single-handedly, will rebuild the dreams of the working class. You are the last communist.
I feel like I'm being radicalized.
Now get to work, comrade.
No, thank you.
Very well. I guess no one will build communism then. Tell the working man it's over, unless anyone has objections. Anyone? Anyone else? There's no one? There's no one. Okay then, lie down and let the water carry you downstream.
Yes, goodbye communism. I'm sorry if that's the wrong thing to do, guys. I know some of you told me to... I don't know, man.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
The lieutenant's voice is hushed. How did you hope it would go?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman.
Really? I thought it was going quite well.
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
I'm sorry for putting us in this situation. I'll handle it. What do you propose? That we don't investigate the drug trafficking? We could just, find my badge. What do you propose?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done, and demand for her information on the lynching.
We could just find the badge.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters. You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
I don't know how I'm going to handle
I'm
it,
sure
but
you will, Detective.
let's get back to her then.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Tell me about this alleged drug trafficking.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samar in Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that other thought, guys. I don't know if I should just opt into all of them. Maybe you'll have to let me know. But, like, you know, if I don't agree with what's being said, you know.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
Let me get this straight. The materials come from Samara to Revachol through the terminal.
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut.
You want us to investigate?
Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
What do you mean?
The lorries. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Once they reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers, well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they are vulnerable.
And they're all stopped at the minute.
Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment.
She gives you a knowing look.
Her irises are light green, like the river Esperance in bright daylight, upstream where it's clearer.
So it might be, what was his name? Tommy? Because he's been waiting there the whole time, not leaving the shipment. Sounds awfully suspicious in light of this information, right?
I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
Yep, got you.
You'll be indebted to her, in a way, but one step ahead of the Union in another.
I mean, she didn't come to the RCM because she didn't stand to gain anything from it. So it's no coincidence that they've been stranded there.
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However,
She pauses, looking to the sea.
this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue.
She looks north.
Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open the drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
I mean, we know why she didn't do it, but let's ask.
We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
Corruption.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
She smiles and points towards the roundabout. Do you have any proof?
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
Oh, yeah.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves.
So you think the strike's being funded with source ingredients for drugs?
Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, though she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
Okay, smuggling investigation.
Yes?
Let's take it.
Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
Okay. Let's leave it there
Of
for
course,
now.
Detective.
We'll ask her
Take
the other.
care.
We'll ask her the other stuff after we've talked to the lorry drivers, perhaps. Oh dear me. Well, that was a long chat there, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry about the communist bit, but I don't know. It was so over the top, right? It's like we were being recruited or something. I didn't want it. Maybe you have to let me know with those thoughts like that. Are there consequences for going along with those, or should I just opt in, and then if I don't want the thought, I don't really have to bother studying it, do I? Because these are all quite unique, aren't they? Interesting. So I kind of know. Kind of feels like we're a tool for for Joyce there, because it's like they've orchestrated, they've put them all in that position to try and figure out what they're doing, right? But I guess the communist thing came up because of the way I've been acting. Because I've scored 4 for communist, none for fascist, 4 for ultra liberal, and 1 moralist. None for fascist though. I don't know. What would interesting anyway. Yeah. We'll go and talk to the people, to the drivers next time. Is that time sensitive? It might be. She said that it was time sensitive, so it might be. Anyway, we'll hit the save button and leave it there, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that one. A lot to take in there with Joyce. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Just remember, everybody, never trust an uncrate. I'll see you back in Revachol.